To most of his family, children included, he was just Tom. To me, Grandpa Tom, my mentor, my refuge, my guidance counselor. In short, the one person above all others who laid out my early path for life, as you shall see. He was a traveling shoe salesman, and he had what?
Now where was he? Where was he living?
Brockton, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived in a house that was 3 stories high, and they lived on the first floor in the back side, and then they were back stairs to go upstairs, and the kitchen was across the back of the house. And if you go in the front door, it was a row house that was separated.
Oh, okay.
It didn't have anything around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a big porch around one side, but if you went in the front door, and the stairs were right there that went up to the second floor, because somebody always rented out the second floor.
Gotcha.
And then there was the third floor, which you could get to from the back stairs, but you had to go. There was this narrow hall next to the staircase, and there was a door at the back of it and a door at the front of it. And the door at the front of it went right into the front parlor.
Mm-hmm.
The door at the back of it went into the dining room and so forth and so on. And I have, where is it, Grandpa Tommy, a little glass owl around here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That was always on his desk back there.
Oh, neat.
Uh,
Oh, I see it.
yeah.
I didn't realize it was that old.
He had 2 old maid sisters, Aunt Annie and Aunt Mattie. Annie was the oldest one. Her name was Annie Laurie Kendall. Mm-hmm. And she was a high school superintendent, everything. Mm-hmm. She was head of the boss of the Brockton school system practically. Aunt Mattie had been a twin. She was Martha. Mm-hmm. In those days, everybody changed to the IE. Anyway, Aunt Martha was a twin, and her twin died by leaning over and getting her head in a pail of water that was sitting on the kitchen floor, and she couldn't straighten up again. When
oh my gosh, she drowned in a bucket of water.
She drowned standing there with her head in the bucket.
Oh, that's too weird.
It is very weird.
Now, what's the time frame on this? You're talking about?
That would have been, well, that was probably before I was born.
Okay.
So I was born in 24, so that was probably around 1920, I guess.
Okay.
And
so did his family own the whole house and they rented out the rooms?
Yes, they did. They rented out the floors, and they had an attic, and I can remember, who was it, which aunt it was, I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
a sister who wasn't part of the immediate family, but some relative who
Mm-hmm.
sat in a big chair in the middle living room and just talked, and she was very knowledgeable. They were all school teachers, and they were all very knowledgeable about literature and everything, so we always had something going.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was. And next, if you go down the driveway and all around the house and come up on the other side, in the back there was a garden,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you went through the path, there was a field, and it went to the high school.
Oh, neat.
And I, later on when I got older, I did go back there. I didn't go to school there. I went to junior high there.
Mm-hmm.
And what was his name? Some very famous, I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
now.
I'm trying to think. Do you happen to remember the name of the street that the house is on? If somebody wanted to look it up.
It was number 195 Pleasant Street, Brockton, Massachusetts.
Neat.
My grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
my mother's mother,
Yeah.
had been actually a kindergarten teacher for a while, and then later on something else. But she was very, very knowledgeable about. They were fantastic teachers. She was the one who went down to the street. Pleasant Street went right down into the main part of town.
Mm-hmm.
So they were on the main drag.
Yeah.
And the firehouse, there was a firehouse not far down the road, and she went and befriended the firemen and talked them into collecting broken toys at Christmas time
Oh, no joke.
and
Fixing them.
and mending them and giving them out to poor kids.
No
and I
kidding.
heard all my growing up that practice that she started spread all over the country, and anywhere you went, you would
that's
find
sweet.
people find the firemen fixing toys
That's
at
nice.
Christmas time.
There's a lady in Rockland or Thomaston named Thelma Marr that used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
They'd take broken toys and fix them
Well,
up.
apparently Grandma started something, and her best friend. The funny part of this, she was can't think of the name of the church she belonged to, but she was best friends with the Episcopal minister's wife.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't go to that church. She went to the other one.
Yeah.
That's when my brain gets in trouble.
Baptist or
No.
Methodist or
No, it was there's one very in between. God, when I think
That's
of it,
all
I'll
right.
let you know.
That's all right.
Anyway, she and Mrs. Matthews, they called themselves. She was Mrs. Kendall, and Matthews, the Episcopal minister's wife, was Mrs. Matthews, and they were as formal as they could be. And I used to
funny.
laugh because they knew each other so well. Why are you doing?
But they'd address each other.
That's
that
how
way.
they addressed each other.
Oh my gosh.
But Grandpa went.
You're talking about your
to
grandfather,
work.
right?
He wanted to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He never got there. He was a born diagnostician. He could tell, and he reversed the decision some good doctors made because they'd made a big mistake.
Huh.
But he never could go to medical school. And the reason for this was he went to work in the shoe factory to earn money to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
He lost the end of his index finger on his right hand.
Oh, I remember
in the
you
shoe
telling me
machine.
that.
I did.
Yeah. One little
And they
simple
wouldn't
injury.
accept him in medical school because they said doctors had to tie sutures and he'd never be able to do it. That is when Grandpa came up with, if you don't get what you like, learn to like what you get.
There you go.
He became the best shoe salesman ever. He had this great big touring Buick, and he folded down all the jump seats and stacked it up with shoe boxes, and he traveled. And he went all across to Pennsylvania to Ohio and down to the Carolinas with his shoes.
Neat.
And the story is wonderful. He just made the most of what he had. That's what he could do.
Wow.
And so many people in those days did just that. So.
Nice.